Okay, we're back. We decided to come back. Are you ready for action? Round two?
I'm ready. You know the best part about having a podcast?
What's that?
You don't have to wear pants.
Oh yeah, we're not wearing pants.
I mean, we're wearing shorts.
Well, we're wearing proper garments to cover our
Speak for yourself.
special bits.
Right.
So anyway,
Okay.
we were thinking, this is a slow burn. This is a slow burn process as we break out into the interworld community to where let's have a little background.
Sure.
Let's start from the basics. Let's start at the beginning. The
Okay.
ABCs, 1, 2, 3s of our histories. I didn't say hysterectomies, I said histories.
I
Okay.
feel like Dr. Seuss.
What's your one of your more pleasant memories going back that you can remember from childhood?
You know what's funny is that sometimes you're like, is that a memory? Do I actually remember that, or is it just because I've been told by my parents or I've seen pictures of this happen? So that's a loaded question. But my best memories were just growing up in the country, and we had a big weeping willow tree.
So your earliest memory is
I mean, that's I don't know, it's my earliest memory. My earliest memories were not that great. They were, father left, mother struggling to be a single mom, sometimes without electricity, sometimes just chaos. That's what I remember. But as soon as my stepdad came into our lives, things flipped around.
yeah. And how old were you when stepdad came into life?
I want to say I was 6 or 7. And it was just a beautiful thing. And he's kind of saved us, scooped us up and saved us. And my mom and dad bought a house in the country, and we moved from the city, like deep city, like ghetto city, to the country where we had 24 acres of land and a pond and a pool and a farmhouse and a barn. And my grandmother lived in this little house that used to be a chicken coop on the property. They transformed it into a little tiny dollhouse for my little tiny grandma that was only 4'11". And we just had a great, we had pig roast, tire swing, and front porch where we'd watch thunderstorms on the porch swing, and barbecues and midnight swims in the pool. And yeah, I had a really good, school wasn't great for me. So I was bullied a lot, but my home life was really special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but even as kids, it's always fun. You make it fun anyway, even when technically it's not always fun. You still end up having fun as a kid and creating memories you remember. Silly things and fun times you had.
Yeah.
Where there was laughter and joy, between the cracks.
There was never any fighting between my mom and what I call my dad. There was never any fighting. My sister and I try to kill each other on a daily basis, but it was a really joyful household. My mom would come home from work sometimes and she'd jump in the pool with her clothes on. And we just had lots of fun. We played board games and spent every night around the dining room table or the kitchen table.
Lay down. You laid down already?
Yeah, so it was a really good childhood.
That's good. It's good
I know
that
yours wasn't so hot.
Yeah, but there were still highlights and good memories and moments shared with my siblings. My mom. One thing we share, which is unique and special, and part of something that we share growing up, I think, which is a big deal, and how your perspective is carved out, is that we had major seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, you had something to look forward to, or you had something to dread around the corner seasonally every year.
Yeah.
And then there were obviously all the holidays around the white Christmas and the fall leaves of Thanksgiving and the coldness of Halloween and the apple cider. And then in the summertime, you had fireflies and frogs. I just remember hearing frogs all night, symphony of frogs and crickets.
That's my favorite noise.
Yeah, but I think it's nice looking back that we had these seasons to look forward to. We had some sense of the very world is changing.
Yeah.
Even as we're maturing and growing and dealing in life through our parents and whatever they provided, whatever that atmosphere was, the bigger picture, life was changing around us.
Yeah.
And I remember the cold of winter forever. It would seem like forever. Well, I remember we lived on a farm too, a renovated farm. We'd renovated ourselves. And we all had a part in renovating the house and shellacking the floors and peeling wallpaper and making a garden with a rototiller. My brother and I, that story about the buckets around the hemp ropes around our neck tied to buckets, picking up sticks and stones. Yeah. But what I really want to say is, so I do remember the cold winters and springs coming and the groundhog shadow and da 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 da. But seeing the buds on the trees, where we're from, there's a lot of trees, true deciduous trees, oak trees, maple trees, birch trees, every type of large grandfathered in the forest and surrounding area trees you could imagine. They were massive.
So once you saw the bud, you know there was hope for some good weather.
You would start to see the dead brown branches, the withered dead brown branches, which were 6 months or so.
Yeah.
All of a sudden would bloom, and you'd see little green buds that would grow into leaves that would later obviously take color and crinkle and fall. And so I think that's something special that you experience in having seasons when you grow up. Yeah. You do get a sense that things change.
The only good thing about having seasons is, I was talking about this to a friend, is that in California it's nice all year round, and so you almost feel like you have to be active all year round, and you have to go. And, you know, seasons were created for a reason. And typically in the wintertime in Buffalo, you don't really have a choice but to rest, because there's really nothing else to do. I mean, you go to work, what have you, but when you're not at work, there's really not a lot of things to do. And so you naturally rest more in the wintertime. Where in California, you're just go, no matter what the season is. And so that's the only thing that I miss about back east, is that in the wintertime, it's really just a time to relax and like have the crock pot going and the fireplace on all weekend long and trapped inside with a snowstorm. But that's about the gist of it.
Yeah.
I don't miss anything else about it.
The whole construction industry of this area of New York would, everybody had to do with the roofers and the carpenters, not workman's comp. It's the other thing. Employment. It's a common thing to collect unemployment in the months you literally can't work.
Every year.
Yeah, every year. And so at least, guys would get a break. Unlike in California, there's no stopping. There's never a stop in production of the agricultural department, the construction, the infrastructure development. There's always something going on. And when you have full sun, there's a sense of almost like the bees, you're productive. Yeah. We're just buzzing around all the time because we can. We get all that vitamin D. Yeah. And you don't just sit at home like a recluse in Southern California with so much going on. There's freeway systems zigzagging that are always full. There's always activity and something.
Well, that's why like days like today, when it's a little chilly and cloudy and breezy, that you don't feel bad about laying on the couch all day.
Yeah.
You feel okay about doing that. Tell me what's your funniest memory?
When I was a kid?
One of them.
Oh my gosh.
Keep it appropriate, please.
My mom was very funny, very deep sense of humor. And I think I picked up on some of that or inherited some of that,
Yeah.
But funniest memory. My sister, I'm 10 years older than my sister. So I was 10 when she was born, and she would cry and cry and cry.
Would you have colic?
Which all kids do. But she cried all the time.
Like whiny?
Yeah, just kind of whiny and droning on and on and on. So I would be in charge of her. This is why we're so close today. I mean, we had so many crazy times together growing up, even though I was 10 years old or whatever. But she would cry, and I'd have friends over, and we'd be playing Nintendo, and she's like, shouldn't you check on your sister? She's been crying for a while. No, she does that all the time. That's just what she does, And this one particular time, I think I was 11 or 12, she was crying, and it was going on 15, 20 minutes. Before I was like, all right, fine, I'll see what's going on. And Katie was stuck behind the couch, upside down with her feet. She was walking on the edge of the couch, and she fell and got pinned behind the couch, upside down with her feet in the air.
She could have died.
Nah, not died, but her face was like purple.
Well, yeah, there's a little blood rushing her poor little head.
She would cry so much, and my sister, what happened was, but my sister was born to my stepfather. And my brother and I were nothing more than pack mules. My brother and I were nothing but indentured servants, where Christmas morning, instead of getting whatever the toy of the year was in December, my brother and I would get wool socks, leather gloves, a new pair of boots, stuff to work in. And we worked year round doing various things around the house and collecting wood for a wood burning stove that would have to heat up colonial style cobblestone home. A 4,000 square foot cobblestone house was heated by a centralized wood burning stove for 5 months of the year. So where did that wood come from? Well, wherever we would go on a Saturday at 5 in the morning to collect the wood in a swamp, my brother and I. It's dark. We probably were trespassing. My brother and I would go out there, and as far as we had to go to where the dead trees were, there's like gasoline burning out of the chainsaw and the noise. It's quite a way to start your Saturday, Sunday morning. And we'd go like this, and he would load our arms with as much wood as we can carry. You could hardly see. We would walk, an eternity back to the truck to stack the wood in the back of the pickup truck. And this would go on all morning. And then we'd get home so tired, so cold. I just want to go back into bed or watch Saturday morning cartoons like I heard my friends were doing. But no, we got home. It's just a tease. We had to now unload the truck and bring all the wood and stack it behind the garage. And we would do this like soldier ants every weekend, all winter long. And then we'd have to take the wood that we stacked and organize behind the garage, and we'd have to carry it into the house. And that was a daily thing,
This is why you're such a hard worker.
But-
this is why people in Buffalo are such hard workers.
But my sister was born, and all of a sudden she was like the Queen of Sheba. She was held on his shoulder and the pride of his abode, and she got clothes and toys and attention and love.
And you never resented her for that?
I think maybe when I was little and
Yeah.
things would play out in such a way.
Yeah.
And so I think I was a little like, what the heck, man? Because she's born to him. And my mother married my stepfather when I was 5. Joel, my older brother, was 8.
Yeah.
And we never received that type of kindness and luxury or whatever, And so I think there was a little bit of spite that went into how I handled Katie when she was being a typical terrible 2.
You're like, you got
or
a
3
toy?
or
Well, now
4.
you're going to hang upside down, with
Yeah.
all the blood rushing into your
Yeah,
head.
my mom would go,
Yeah.
where's your sister, Frankie? And I go, oh, she's on the lawn. What do you mean? The front lawn there was a highway, and we had a big front lawn. She goes, where's your sister? And I said, she's in the lawn. And my mom's like, she could run into the road. I go, no, she can't. I tied her in a pillowcase. Katie and my sister was tied up to her neck in a pillowcase, and she was just screaming in the middle of the lawn. Ah! Anyway, she loved it.
Oh, I'm sure. You're traumatized.
My sister.
Okay, note, do not leave a baby with a young 12-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
My sister, though, something about her when I got to be older, like 15, moved back to New York from high school in California. I can't remember exactly the age and the grade or whatever, but I was in New York, living in a 2-star town, farmer town, and in New York, upstate New York. And Katie was 7 or 8 or whatever, and she just wanted to be a part of whatever I was doing,
Yeah.
And I had all the neighborhood friends. And the small town, we all lived within the same, probably centralized city block,
Yeah.
Me and the new acquaintances I made coming from California high school to a farm school,
Yeah.
And so there was a basketball court on the property next door to us directly. So everybody would come around. There was nothing else to do but play basketball and smoke cigarettes, And Katie, my little sister, would always want to be right in the mix, right in the middle of things.
You did not give her a cigarette.
No, I never gave her a cigarette. But we're like, scram, beat it, kid. And she wouldn't. No matter what we said or how we threatened her, she wouldn't. She just stood her ground. And we started throwing the basketballs at her really hard. You know what she did? She would go back, pick up the basketball, and throw it back at us. It's the determination and the will of this kid, And at a certain point, I felt bad. Like,
As you should.
I give up. You can hang out with us while we smoke cigarettes and talk about teenage inappropriate things. Or what do I know? What do I know? So anyway, there's lots of funny memories. And we always talk about the traumatic ones, but there were plenty of good, Leave It to Beaver situations that we experienced as kids too.
Yeah. Do you
So-
want to know mine?
Yeah, what's your funniest memory?
I mean, it wasn't really funny when it happened. Actually, it wasn't funny at all when it happened, but it was funny when I think about it. I was bullied pretty bad in high school, as you know. And I was the last one on the bus. And Sally, big Sally that used to step on me.
Yeah,
She,
from the what tribe?
I don't know, Cattaraugus Indian Reservation.
Cattaraugus Indian Reservation.
But she would be, the only seat was next to her. In her seat. That was the only spot left.
We have to make known here. We had to ride a school bus until you learned how to drive. You took the public school bus to school, and in regardless of the weather, you had to stand outside and wait for that school bus.
Up
And
until
so-
you were 18, unless you had your own car.
Yeah.
Or you could walk to school.
So
if close.
you were picked up in sequence of where the bus had to go before ultimately going to school. So there was limited seats, and you were stuck with whatever people the bus picked up that lived relatively close to your house. Go
So
ahead.
nobody wanted to sit with Sally. Our house was set 500 feet off the road, and my dad built us this little house at the end of the driveway to stand in when there was 6 feet of snow while we were waiting for the bus, so we didn't freeze to death. So my dad built this little house for us to wait in for the bus. So anyway, I'm the last one on the bus. Always only seat available is with Sally. Bus driver yelling for me to sit down. She wouldn't move over. I'd have to stand up and stare at her until the bus driver screamed at both of us, and then she'd scooch over a little bit, but only enough for me to fit my one cheek on the seat. And I'd have to lean like this against the other seat so I didn't fall into the aisle. And sometimes she would push me into the aisle, and then she'd stand on my chest with her giant size 13 shoe.
Wow.
I don't know if it
She's
was
a big
13.
girl.
She was a big girl. Anyway, this one particular day, I get on the bus. Everyone is hysterically laughing at me, more than usual, and looking out the window. And I look out the window, and my dad is legitimate in his tidy whities, not boxer shorts, not boxer briefs, tidy whities, in the garden, chasing a cow out of our garden.
Oh my
Pretty
gosh.
sure he had a baseball bat. It was like you couldn't have waited 30 seconds.
Oh,
for
gonna
for
eat
that-
mom's prize
Oh,
winning
I don't even
cherry
care.
tomatoes.
That just put a nail in my coffin,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, can you tell the story when Sally, the Ocean Pacific shirt?
Oh yeah, I had an Ocean Pacific windbreaker. It was like
You remember Ocean
bright
Pacific?
pink and lime green and all the
All those cool 80
neon-
colors.
Neon colors. And that little kangaroo pouch with a zipper. I thought I was so cool in that. I felt cool anyway. And I literally had her footprint one day on my Ocean Pacific windbreaker.
Because she pushed Sherry down in the
And
bus
then stood
aisle,
on me.
which is the filthiest place.
Disgusting.
One of the dirtiest surfaces, rubber surface aisle of a
Rubber
school
baby
bus,
buggy bumpers.
where you're wearing your snow boots that are full of slush and salt and mud. She pushes Sherry down. Sherry's on her back, and she steps on Sherry's breast.
I know, it's bananas.
In your highlighted orange or
know.
green Ocean
know.
Pacific jacket.
Now, if somebody did that, that wouldn't even happen.
Oh, what would you do now, girl?
I don't know, but that wouldn't be happening.
What would you do? Pretend I'm Sally.
Angana Boko Ninja, Wawaka no weed.
It's like
Well,
that is not an Indian accent.
Before it
So-
even comes.
So
So we're on the bus.
Inappropriate.
You got your one cheek on there.
Mm-hmm.
I turn to you like I have all semester. I turn to you, and you know I'm gonna get abrasive, aggressive.
I think I would just
No, you wouldn't.
I think I would.
You wouldn't.
just poke her in the eyeballs.
I don't think so.
Karate chop her Adam's
Right.
apple. She had an Adam's apple.
Then it was a guy with
No,
long
it
hair.
wasn't. No,
Sure, it was
no.
just a guy with long
No,
hair.
Sally, I'm telling you.
Sure, it wasn't Sanroot or
Sandra is not
Or-
even a name.
Sale E. You know what I mean? It's Italian. A lot of sales.
No, short for Salvador.
Oh, in school back east, in this region of New York, we had a lot of Irish, and we had a lot of Italian, and we had a lot of Jew, and we had a lot of magoo. We had a lot of. There was a diverse mix of people, including a lot of American Indians, and a lot of the townships were named after certain American Indian tribes, right?
I went to
Let's-
school.
let's
I went to
mention
school
some of the
with
names.
Okay.
What are some of the names of the towns of the cities?
Oh, Lackawanna,
Lackawanna,
Salamanca,
Salamanca,
the Skajakuda,
Sajida,
Cheektowaga,
Cheektowaga,
Tonawanda.
Tonawanda, Iroquois.
Yeah,
You said-
multiple other. I went to school with the girl with the last name Leather Barrel.
Leather Barrel.
What? How is that a name?
I went to school with a Chad Mount Pleasant, a Spotted Oak, and a Randy and Bobby Littlefeather. And either was Randy or Bobby went to jail for murder.
How do you have the last name Littlefeather and you name your kid Bobby?
Bobby Littlefeather.
What was his brother's name?
Bobby or Randy.
Randy?
Randy Littlefeather. That was the Tuscaroran Indians. Randy Littlefeather, Chad Mount Pleasant, Spotted Oak. We used to
Wait,
get
was
our
his name Chad Mount and his last name was Pleasant, or his first name was Chad and his last name was Mount Pleasant?
his middle name was Mountain.
Mountain.
Yes. We used to buy our weed off the witch doctor on the reservation because this is one place we could go as troubled teens to get our marijuana. Okay? Because the police wouldn't,
Well, you shouldn't
wouldn't go in
be.
there.
You shouldn't have been smoking marijuana anyway.
And she had horrible cataracts, so she got the government weed. Aside from the weed, she was legally allowed to grow outside of her trailer. Okay,
We're gonna cancel
we would
before
go there.
we even start.
We would go there, and we would, there'd be Tom, Dick, or Harry there. We from school, and
Did
that
you take
was
Littlefeather?
we would collect cans to buy little sticks and stone dime bags from this lady named Evelyn that lived on the reservation. We called the witch doctor. She had horrible cataracts. She always had drippy, runny eyes, and she'd hold her eye open. She got the government weed, and sometimes we could buy that off of her. We could afford it, but she would say things. Especially to me. She'd go, "I got a cute little ass on you, don't ya?" And I would take it because we needed that dime bag of sticks and stones no matter what. What are we gonna do? There's nothing else to do, nowhere else to go, so you would escape. You would escape through any substance available. That's what you did. In a lot of small towns, there's a disproportionate amount of alcoholism and underage pregnancy and drug abuse. There really is. And you do all you can to escape and experiment when you're younger, And so she was one of a half a dozen staples to where we knew we could go once we got a couple bucks from mom's purse and took some cans back collectively.
I'd like to mention that the only thing I ever got from the Indian reservation was gasoline.
Yeah, you could get cheap gas, tobacco, and jewelry. But anyway, she would always make these comments. We'd sit around and pass these little pinner joints around, and she would always end up saying something like completely scandalous. She'd hold her eyes open. She goes,
It's traumatizing.
I'm trying to think of some of the things she said.
You already said one. That's enough.
She's like, "I'll give you a discount."
Yeah.
You want to earn a discount? I go, "Oh, you're too much, Evelyn." You know what I mean?
Ew.
We called her Evelyn. This is all true. I got some radical frickin' stories. I really do. Oh, the last thing we can say before we go, which is a funny story. Can you tell them about when you thought you were American Indian and that you could get some kind of
Government assistance.
Yeah, tell a story.
I mean, you are what your parents tell you are. So at some point, it comes up in conversation. Oh, what's your heritage? Oh, you're Indian, or you're Spanish, or you're Mexican, or you're German.
Sherry's father was a mysterious tall drink of water. Okay, he looked
like
very
a very
American,
like a very tan Elvis Presley before he broke his nose. And after he broke his nose, he looked like he should have a tomahawk in his hand. He just looked completely Indian. My half sister Annie, 6'1", also looks completely Indian.
Now her father, he had this lush curly hair. Think of a gold medallion sitting in a hairy, sweaty chest, and then Daisy Dukes he wore all the time. He thought he was hot ass, didn't he?
He did. He wore white cutoff shorts.
So there was a
with
lot of
gold nugget ring. It was a vibe.
There's a lot of mystery around him.
Anyway,
so
I'm nothing like him, by the way. So I do have his cheekbones. But anyway, so we were always told that he was Indian. My mom's adopted. We don't really know what she is, but my dad was Indian. Mohawk Indian, specifically Mohawk Indian. So I was very proud. I used to wear a feather in my hair. There was a joke around school, speaking of feathers, that my name was Sherry Pretty Feather, which was a little contradictory being that I was bullied every day. But that was like a running joke, Sherry Pretty Feather. Probably because I wore it in my hair. But I was super proud. People say, "What are you?" I wouldn't
Really
say
bought
anything.
into
I
the
wouldn't
whole-
say anything else except I am Mohawk Indian. I didn't know what else I was. I made it sound like I was 100%
A
Indian.
lot of people do that.
Right? You don't go around saying I'm a mutt.
There's like a lot of white guys with long hair that wear like puka shell necklaces that are like choking them practically because their neck's really fat, and they're 1% Indian, and that's their whole identities. I'm American Indian, one with the earth. I'm one of the originals.
But I was super proud of that. So anyway, years go by. I think my children are part Indian. And then I'm told, if you go and find your tribe number, you too can benefit off all the casinos. You can get like $3,000 a month free money for the rest of your life. I was like, well, cha-ching, I'm gonna take advantage of that.
Sure.
So I tell my cousin Lenny that I'm gonna go up to Albany and get my tribe number. And he says, don't bother.
Completely convinced.
Me and your cousins and your half sisters all did DNA testing. We're not Indian at all. Not even 1%.
Oh my god.
Not even 1%. So I did my own DNA testing, and I am mostly Northern European, whatever the hell that means. So I am not Indian at all. So
Hey, I always said you're more of a Persian. You look more Persian to me. Persian princess, flying carpet.
I don't know what I look like, but I am not Indian at all. So no mullah from the casino for me.
But again, I think that's cute. That's a cute story about sharing some of our history. And we're going freeform here. We're going slapstick improving, but telling, factoids about our history and our life. We didn't really have a script for following, but I promise next time, because we're at the 30-minute marker,
We are.
next time we're going to have a script we're going to follow. We're going to have
I don't want like cue cards.
Well, we're gonna have
A topic.
we're gonna have an act to follow, and eventually we'll take. What's exciting is Sherry and I have actually received a little bit of feedback from our friends and family that enjoy this,
They want more.
and we enjoy them, and we enjoy sharing. You know what I'm saying? And this is our way of sharing with them, even though there's limits to how often we can see or share with them because of time zones and obligations. So Sherry and I are highly motivated and excited to continue to share our stories and things that we've learned, and then what the future possibly holds, and that no matter what is going to happen, why and how you can still have peace about it, right? It's a big secret.
We haven't gone there yet, but Frank and I have an extremely beautiful marriage, and we feel like at this point in our life we're doing things the right way. And so we have a lot of wisdom to share, and we'd like to share that with you. And yeah, that's it.
You can look forward to that soon, maybe even next. The third or fourth video, that it's going to be just chock full of nuggets. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right.
So goodbye for now. This has been I've just really had this
Shut
kind of
your
it's
stop.
so
You're so
enlightening and
dramatic.
arousing. I can't wait until the next one. Intimately, I am stricken with pleasure. Okay. Love you. Good night.
Bye.